This video is to assist you with your 5.3 and 5.2 homework. We're going to start with 5.2. This is the notes, the lecture notes for adding and subtracting decimals. Now, all you're going to do is just enter it right into your calculator. However, I'm just showing you a couple examples as if you were to do it manually. The whole goal whenever you're adding and subtracting is to line up the decimals, as you can see here. Now, 45 and even 85 expressed as a whole number is 0.0. And the reason why there's two zeros here, because we're lining it up so we can add it to the 0.06 of the 2.06. And then the same thing, I'm sure we're all used to subtracting longhand, and I'm just showing you an example when you have to borrow. So again, the goal is to line up those decimal points. Is that what I'm requiring of you? No. When you go into your actual homework assignment, you'll see that for like number 1, you have 15.88, and you need to add that to the negative 3.67. So you can see off to the side here, I show you if you do it longhand. However, you can enter it just into your calculator. The only thing you need to be concerned with is your rules. And the rules for this is opposite sign, subtract, and take the sign of the larger number. So when you're entering it into the calculator, you need to know, are you adding or subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? Now, the same thing with this next one down below, number 2, it's just asking you to take the sum. So when you're taking a sum, it means you're adding. So you're just going to add 28 and then 4.006 and 6.602. So you'll find a lot of this is just a lot of calculator work, but however, like number 4, you need to be aware of the rule, and I have it over here off to the side, convert and flip, meaning you're going to convert it to an addition problem, and then that number to the right, you make sure you make it the opposite sign. So you can see when you do that, this is what it's going to look like. So you're going to be subtracting and taking the sign of the larger number. So even though you get to use your calculator, there's going to be times where you're going to be challenged with whether you're adding or subtracting positive and negative numbers. Now, number 6, it's just a plug-in. You can see x plus z, and they're assigning x the value 2.2 and z the value of 0.44. So you're going to add those, and again, this, the y minus x plus z, I would plug your numbers in, and I would work with 2 at a time to get your sign correct, whether it be a positive or a negative. So that's where the challenge is in this particular assignment. Now it's asking, determine whether the given value is a solution. That means is 4 a solution to this equation. That just means if you plug in the 4 where the x stands, is the value on the left equal to the value on the right? And you can see that my answer is no, because when 4 is replaced with x, the given equation results in a false statement, because 7.4 is not equal to 6.8. Down below, we combined like terms in previous sections. You're doing this again, except for this time it's decimal numbers. And you can see what I'm circling. These 2 decimal numbers have the variable x. So I can combine those, meaning that I'll take 24.7 and subtract it by 18.3. And then the remaining 2 numbers, we have a 31.8 subtracted by 41.5. So you know we're going to have to apply that rule again. So you're going to take the minus sign, change it to a plus, and attach a negative to the 41.5. So you're going to be subtracting and taking the sign of the larger number. So again, you're going to have to think about those rules when it comes to adding, subtracting positive and negative numbers. Now down below for number 10, it says a company opened, by how much did the price of each share change? So they're talking about there's an opening amount and a closing. So you just take whatever your closing price is and you subtract it by your opening, as you see here, and then that way it'll show you the difference in the price. Down below we have a perimeter of the rectangle. Reason why I have a 3.02 times 2, because really it's a square, And when you're finding a perimeter, one number will be on 2 of the sides and a number will be on the other 2. So there's a total of 4 sides. So you could just easily 3.02 plus 3.02 plus 1.65 plus 1.65, you would end up with the same value. Now number 12. So number 12, it's asking us to find the increase in the number of texts sent or received per day from 2008 to 2010. So the increase in the number of texts sent or received per day from this range of time. So what I did over here, I just took the 2010, I subtracted it from the 2009 year. As you can see here, I ended up with 11.35. And it just happened to be redundant. And then I took up here, I took the 2009 and 2008. They just happened to be the same value. So you could have just added those and came up with 22.7, or you could just 11.5 times 2 because it's twice. Either way would give you the value of 22.7. So just follow the same pattern. You'll just have different numbers, but it's the same pattern. Now, when you go down here, to these other additional word problems, with this snowiest city receives an average, how you read this is the first one is A, 123.8, but it reads more inches of snow than the second snowiest city. And the second one is this B. So how you're going to write that out would be 123.8 plus whatever B is, because it's saying that many inches of snow more than the second snowiest city. So that means whatever that second city is, and you add on, just like I have written right here, you add on that 123.8, which gives you 344.4. So that's what the snowiest city receives, because it's saying A is the snowiest city, and it has 123.8 more than B. So that's how you're going to work out that word problem. The next one down, it's just asking for the amount of border needed for the material, and all you need to do is just add up all 3 of those sides to come up with your answer. And lastly, the last word problem, this is a subtraction problem. It's just saying that the average wind speed at a weather station is 35.9 miles per hour. And it's saying the highest speed ever recorded at a station is 232.4 mile. So it's saying with these 2 numbers, how much faster is this highest speed than the average wind speed? So that's why you're just taking both of your numbers and you're subtracting them, and that will give you your answer. In section 5.3, we're going to focus on the circumference of a circle. Here are your equations. The first one is 2 times pi times the radius, and then one below it is 10 times pi. So if you're given a radius, then the radius, oh, wait a minute, that's not correct. What I should have written was d as the diameter times pi. So why it's 10 is the radius would be half the point, which is 5 inches. If it was reaching from one end of the circle from the left all the way through the center, all the way until you get to the right side, then you double it up. So 5 inches halfway, completely across would be 10 inches. So it depends on the problem if it gives you the radius or the diameter. If it gives you the radius, you just 2 times pi times the radius. Or if they give you a diameter, you just multiply the diameter by pi. So you can see that's what I did down here below. So in your homework, it's going to ask for an exact answer, an approximate answer. So an exact answer would mean that you would just plug in your radius, which is 5, into this equation, and you just multiply the 2 times the 5 and then just write out the pi. So when you enter this answer, you'll have that symbol in MyLabs Plus. Approximate answer means that instead of recording your answer with this pi, you're going to replace pi with 3.14. So down below, showing you how you would use the circumference if you had a diameter. So it would be 10 times 3.14. So I'm just showing you an example with using both of these equations. So again, the radius is 5 inches and the diameter would be 10 inches. It's double the size. So an exact answer, you want to use the pi symbol. With an approximate answer, you want to multiply, replace the pi with 3.14 and multiply it out. So most of all these, you can see if you look at my notes that I attached to the announcement section, you're just going to be entering your multiplication into your calculator, but I'm showing you how to work through it longhand. And then I'm just repeating again here. This is just showing you if you're multiplying it by 10, you would move your decimal place once, multiply it by 100, you'd move it twice. But I don't believe you're going to go through any of these. But again, you can just enter these into the calculator and get your answer. Now you can see you're going to simply enter these numbers into your calculator and multiply them out. But you're going to have to remember the rules. When you're multiplying the signs the same, do you have a positive answer or a negative answer? And then when you plug in for this one, xz means you have to multiply your value of x by z, order of operations, and then you can subtract y. And if you notice, y is a negative number, so subtract by negative. So that means you got to change that negative to an addition, and then make this sign the opposite, so the convert and flip. So there is rules that you have to think about, even though you're going to be able to use your calculator. Is it a solution? It means if you plug in -4 into the y, when you multiply 8.5 by -4, will give you an answer of -34. And you can see when I do that over here that yes, it is a solution. Here, all you're doing is multiplying it out. Down below, as I was mentioning earlier, here's a couple circumference problems written out in detail that you can use. Just written out the equation and make sure you get the exact and an approximate answer. When you go down below, you're now going to deal with find the area. The area would be the length times the width, and that's how you'll get your answer, and it should be square inches is the units. Down below underneath of that, from the rest of these word problems, you can see, and that would be great if you would read through them, all you're doing is multiplying each one. So they're all multiplying out. So for this first one, you're taking a mileage times the 0.52 cents per mile. The one down below, you're just taking how many hours times the rate, which is 8.74. Down below underneath of that, we're dealing with SID. If they have a canvas that's 10.28 per meter, it's $10.28 per meter. How much will SID spend? And what they need is, she needs is 0.5 meters. So you can see if you multiply it out, it'll be $5.14. We're dealing with an A and B. Again, this is the two rectangulars, find the area. So the area would be multiplying it out. And what's the difference of the rounded areas? So you're taking your two answers and you're subtracting them out. And you can see here's the difference down below. Multiplying again, you can just put that into the calculator. So that is all your work for 5.2 and 5.3.